Things just took a shocking turn for the Chicago Bulls as there's been a lot of discussion around the future that Nikola Vucevic has with this team as Arturas Karnisovas starts to really create this rebuild with this Chicago Bulls roster and freeing up money, while the Bulls do still have a veteran big man at their position amidst another young guy being on this squad as well, and the Bulls looking towards a rebuild. And we're going to break this whole situation down. There's a lot to go over. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bulls Digest. It's Chris here. If you guys are part of that 76% that's not subscribed to Bulls Digest, make sure to subscribe for daily Chicago Bulls updates. We got a lot of great videos coming at you guys every single day, and you do not want to miss out on all the great stuff that we're dropping. All that being said, let's jump into the video, because Nikola Vucevic has been a staple with the Chicago Bulls for a while now. Since the Bulls acquired him in 2020 at the trade deadline from the Orlando Magic in a trade that's looked back on not excellently in Bulls history, as at the time it made a ton of sense to trade those 2 first-round picks for Vuce along with Wendell Carter as well. But things did not age super well for that trade as it pertains to the Chicago Bulls. As well, the Lavine, Vucevic, Lonzo Ball squad that I know Lonzo wasn't there initially, but once they finally built up that squad around Zach LaVine, things did not go as planned. There was injuries and just other issues that did derail the Bulls entirely throughout this process. And now what we look at is Nikola Vucevic being the last guy still standing from that Bulls core. I mean, DeRozan's in Sacramento. Now Zach LaVine's also in Sacramento. And Lonzo Ball is in Cleveland now. Vuce is the last guy still standing from that era. And it feels like it's obvious that the writing is going to be on the wall, that Vuce is not long for the Bulls, as Arturas Karnisovas does have some younger pieces that it would make more sense to play over Vuce in this situation. So with all this in mind, it does make sense that the Bulls would want to move in another direction. I would fully agree with this, and we have a huge update in regards to that, as when it comes to Vuce at the end of the day, there's been a lot of discussion of trades, and it was revealed by Jake Fisher that we're probably more likely to see a Nikola Vucevic buyout midseason than we are to see a trade. Depending on how the market unfolds, depending on how injuries develop, there just really hasn't been much of a Nikola Vucevic trade market in a while now. Now, it's also important to note at this time that this was sort of mentioned earlier on, as Evan Sidery did say earlier in the offseason that the Bulls have had little luck generating a trade market for Vuce after demanding a first-round pick at the deadline. Chicago's market for the soon-to-be 35-year-old has dried up, and Vucevic wants to finish his career on a contending team. So a buyout could be an option, and now looking further into things, it looks like a buyout is likely for Vuce, who had a phenomenal season last year. He put up 18.5 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. He got nearly a blocked shot per game, though he is an offensively based center for sure. Shot 53% from the field and 40% from 3. Vuce had the best season he had in a long time and was arguably the most consistent piece of the Bulls from Game 1 to Game 82. Or not even arguably, he was, considering Lavine getting traded and all that. It does make sense that Vuce would be the guy for the Bulls right now that they would look to move. He's about to be 35 years old, and at the same time, he was excellent for the Bulls, and he still is excellent, but it just makes no sense to still have him. Now, if you can generate a trade for Vuce, you obviously keep him on for the time being. He's going to be good for the young players to be around, and at the end of the day, he's probably going to get bought out at the deadline. But you never know with the NBA, especially considering that injuries do happen, that when it comes down to Vuce, there is one injury shy of Vuce being on the trade market once again, and teams looking at Vuce. And now, are you going to get a first-round pick for an expiring contract 35-year-old? Unlikely, but you can get something of value for him, whereas buying him out nets you absolutely nothing, except you're trying to do addition by subtraction by losing more games, because Vuce is someone who is going to benefit the team and help them win games, so it does make sense. Now, there's been a lot of connections, obviously, to the Lakers and to the Warriors as well for teams that could be interested in Vuce, but any team, if he gets bought out, that's trying to win a championship, is going to be interested in Nikola Vucevic, just because what he brings to the table. The only 2 teams that come to mind that wouldn't instantly show interest would be, like, the Nuggets, because they have Valanciunas, and they still probably would just show interest anyway, and the Knicks, with the way that things go for them, considering they do have a couple big men on that team. But at the same time, I do think with the Knicks, they still would show interest in Vuce, and I honestly think the Nuggets would as well. So the 2 teams that came to mind, there's instant rebuffs for both of them, and outside of that, any other contending team, even the Thunder, who do have 2 bigs with Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein, would add a versatile big man like Vuce to this team in a heartbeat, or to their team in a heartbeat. So I think that is interesting to go over. And when you look at Vuce over the one playoff series that he did play with the Bulls, he put up nice numbers. He performed. He put up 19.4 points and 12.4 rebounds with 3.2 assists in that 5 games that obviously did not go the Bulls' way. And he shot 44% from the field and 31% from three, which the shooting numbers were not excellent, but at the end of the day, it was a 5-game series. Obviously, the Bulls lost. Things were not going their way, so it is what it is. What are you going to do? There's nothing we can really talk about to this front since it was only 5 games that Vuce ever played with the Bulls, when it felt like there was a really nice thing coming with Lavine and Vuce. That didn't happen, and now here we stand trying to figure out how to get Vuce off this team for some form of valuation. And when you look at what the Bulls roster is going into this following season, we do see a few nice pieces. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you got Isaac Okoro in a trade that'll be interesting. Patrick Williams is still around, and outside of that, you do have a younger guy in Jalen Smith who can play that center position, is probably more fitted to play that center position. You have Ayo, you have Kobe White still, even though it feels like Kobe White could likely get traded. Kevin Huerter is a trade candidate. Trey Jones will probably be a trade candidate. A lot of these guys will likely be trade candidates, but you still have Buzelis. You have some pieces that you could build this team around going forwards, and you also have a lot of money coming your way in the future. When you look at everyone right now, most of these guys are on expiring deals. The guys who aren't are Pat, and that contract has not aged well at all. It was rough at the time. He's still young. He's still 23 years old. He's young, but it doesn't feel like things are working out right now. Maybe with more touches, he can finally break out. Kevin Huerter's on that expiring deal. Teams will look to trade for him if he starts playing well and shooting the ball well, especially considering he's still very young as well. Kobe White is someone who is a trade candidate for sure, but the Bulls will be interested in re-signing as well. Okoro's on a 2-year deal, could be a trade candidate, likely will stick around in Chicago for this season. Jalen Smith will likely stick around. Ayo, there's obviously a bunch of conflicting opinions on what's going to happen with him. Javon Carter is probably going to be opting into that deal, so that'll keep Javon Carter around for another year. And then you got Buzelis, you got Essengu, you got some guys there who you can still build around this team. But right now, it is absolute cut and run time. You burn, or you don't even burn the assets. That's not the right way to put it, but you sell off these assets, and Vooch is the best asset that you have right now, so you have to consider that. Now, it was reported earlier this month that, according to Jake Fisher, the Warriors are not interested in trading for Nikola Vucevic, which means Arturas is probably still holding this, and by this I mean Vooch, to a first-round pick type of price. I do think Vooch will be with the Bulls. He doesn't seem like someone who's going to cause problems because he knows he's on an expiring deal and will likely just get bought out if he doesn't get traded anyway. Vooch is a veteran. He knows how the game works. And Arturas knows the same thing. But again, now what you're looking for is injuries, teams underperforming, teams overperforming that need a big man, and they want to go all in and they want to try to succeed, and then Vooch's value rises again. Right now is not the time to trade Vooch. If I'm Arturas, I wouldn't trade Vooch right now because at the end of the day, what I would guess is that his value can raise once again before buyout season comes because you're not guaranteed Vooch is going to sign with you during buyout season. So what you want to do is try to get something for Vooch, and even though the price will be lower, probably a second-round pick, 2 second-round picks and cap filler, at the same time, if you're getting like a bad contract for Vooch, you could easily pick up a first-round pick once again. And I think that's something that any Bulls fan should be happy with. Yeah, we're picking up a bad contract, but at the same time, when you consider everything going around with the Bulls right now, is that really the worst thing in the world? How easy is it going to be for the Bulls to sign a free agent coming into this next offseason? There's going to be a lot of money on the table, but outside of that, this is a team that basically has to sell a top-tier free agent on. Do you want to come in and be the first guy to really help turn this thing around? That's always a tough sell to do for anyone, so it's going to be tough for the Bulls, and I do think you should keep Vooch around so there's some sort of valuation that you can get him for later down the line. That's what I would do personally. What would you guys do? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notification. Have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one.